Finally be getting everyone back together. It's been too long since we've had a live stream, and boy do we have an occasion today to celebrate. So I couldn't be more excited to be joined by all of you again virtually, but it would be just as fun if we were in company, in each other's personal company, hopefully again here soon. One of my favorite ways to begin these live streams is really just to check in with everyone. I've got my phone here so I can see all your comments, and one of my favorite things to do is to just check in and see who's joining us today and from where you are joining. So we've got, of course, let's see, Leonardo from Brazil. We've got the elephant in the room. Thank you for joining us. We've got Matthew from Chicago, Francis from Chicago. We've got Oil Greenway, of course, joining us from London. Another regular, we got Hassan from Istanbul. Beautiful city I've never visited, but boy, would I love to come visit Istanbul. We've got Daniel from Cornwall. We've got Elizus. We've got, let's see, Juhan from Estonia. Leonardo. Let's see, we've got someone from Switzerland. We've got Kevin from Limburg. We've got, wow, Norway, Canada, Essex, Kentucky, Central Kentucky, Ezio. Thank you for joining us. We've got someone from Montana. What a beautiful state. Boy, 111 people. We've got Jonathan joining us from Houston. That's where I'll be later this weekend. Of course, we've got our good friend Kevin Lamel joining us from here in Dallas, watching us while driving home from work. Please be careful. We've got Christopher from Colorado, Thomas from Pennington, New Jersey, Trevor Bain from Northeast England. Let's see, Venom from Canada, and so many more. So thank you all for joining me on this Black Tie live stream. I enjoy these so much. It's so fun to be spending a little bit of time with all of you. And of course today, I guess it's our 250,000 subscriber Black Tie live stream, our little Christmas live stream right before we all break for the holidays. And this is pretty exciting. So, of course, I've got your comments here. Let me know if you guys have any questions. We've got our super chat going. Thank you, Thamir. Appreciate that. And so many other exciting things that we're about to launch. So I was thinking that on today's live stream, we'd be able to just reflect a little bit upon 2021. I mean, boy, has it been a long few years for all of us. But I have to say, the tide is really turning, and I have to say that we have ended 2021 in a way that I really couldn't have expected, with so much to celebrate. So with that in mind, I thought it would be fun to take a few liberties. I've pulled a special box of cigars out of my humidor, and we've got some champagne here I'm going to open. Hopefully those that can, that are at home, can join me along with a smoke and maybe a nice drink. If you're drinking something, certainly please let me know your drink of choice. Let's see, turning back sadly. Well, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully this is just really fast. Make another Huntsman, New York City video. So much to talk about. So, first things first, a little bit of champagne. I thought it would be a nice way to celebrate 250,000 subscribers. I mean, it just seems like yesterday that we were celebrating 50,000, 100,000, and here we are with 250,000 subscribers, 250,000 subscribers. I have to say, sometimes I have a hard time believing it, that we've been able to collect or put together a community of so many like-minded gentlemen that enjoy quality craftsmanship and tradition, because here at Kirby Allison, that of course is everything that we are about. So I've got a nice bottle of champagne here. I think the room's coming through again. Of course, I keep this little earpiece in so that they can talk to me in the control room. Let me know how everything's going. So this is a bottle of Le Menil champagne. This is a Blanc de Blanc 2007, or no, this is actually a 1998 vintage. A little bit nicer than 2007. And so let me get this off. We will open this. I don't want to take out any camera equipment, so I'm not going to shoot this across the room. But boy, would it be fun. And there's nothing like a nice vintage champagne. And again, we're going to be opening a nice cigar. Oh, look at the color on that. I mean, you really can appreciate that. So here we go. Yep, look at that. Beautiful. I mean, look at the color. I mean, this is the Blanc de Blanc, but it's got nice age and is starting to kind of turn in color, which is, again, a hallmark of a nice vintage champagne. Now, how about some vintage cigars? So this is a box that I was able to pick up. It was actually a gift from a fellow viewer from London, a Mr. Johnson, a commensurate gentleman, and he is a cigar aficionado of cigar aficionados. And we had an opportunity to enjoy each other's company a little bit the last time I was in London. I think we went to Hertford Street to the Burley Cigar to enjoy a nice cigar. And he was very kind in offering a box of the Por Laranjas, and I'm going to mess this up, the Sobresalientes, but this is an absolutely beautiful stick. Look at this, the box code here, and I'll show you all of that here in a second. So we smoked some of these together, and then he gave me the rest of the box as a very generous gift. I love gifts like that. Hold this up for the camera. Can you guys see that? I'm going to put it over there for the close-up. And this is a box stamp of June 2015. This, of course, was a regional exclusivo for Great Britain. It's got the Hunters and Francal EMS sticker, which is the European market selection. And Gemma, another person I had the opportunity of spending some time with whenever I was in London, she is running Hunters and Francal. It's a family firm. She is, of course, doing an amazing job. But they really, I have to say, have been able to select some of the finest cigars to come out of Cuba. And so any opportunity to get your hands on one of the exclusivos for the Great Britain is always an opportunity not to be passed by. I've got several favorites. Actually, my first box of really exclusive Cuban cigars was the 225th Hunters and Francal Anniversario, which is a beautiful cigar. And then also recently some of the Gran Bretañas, the Lareñas. All right, let's cut that El Casco cigar cutter. One of my favorites. Look at that, foolproof. Let's get this baby lit, shall we? So let's see. So I've got your comments up on the phone. Let's see, we've got Sebastian from Munich. We've got so many people joining us. And again, we really have so much to celebrate this year. 250,000 subscribers, 250,000 subscribers. We were able to make it to London in the fourth quarter in October. As you guys, of course, have been seeing all those videos that we've been publishing, and I really can't reiterate just how great it felt to get back. So we were able to see good friends that had been a long time, and then also film some amazing content that hopefully you guys have been enjoying on this channel. So if you're in the chat right now, pull up your chat. You know, if you've watched any of our recent London content, I'd love to know kind of what some of your favorites are while I light this cigar. This is a vintage Dunhill lighter that I bought on eBay. So Mr. Johnson, commensurate gentleman, he actually invited us for dinner at White's after we had this cigar. And he is working with Tom Chamberlain, editor of The Rake, on a really exciting new website for those who love Cuban cigars called Cigar Keep. It's kind of like a seller tracker, but for cigars. If you've got your computer up, you can pull it up and go look at it. It's not quite live, but it should be soon. And this is as good as I remembered it. So the one with the Sahakians, of course, two of my favorites. So those gentlemen, the Sahakians, are, they are really something else, and to me typify and really exemplify so much of what you can only find in London. What they do at Davidoff of London is second to none. And again, it is my favorite, probably my favorite shop in all of London to walk into. You're all but guaranteed to see one of the Sahakians, either Edward, the senior Sahakian, or Eddie, his son, in the shop. I don't think the shop is open without one of the two of them being there. If you're lucky, both are. And if you are in London, to me, I think it is as much of a tourist attraction, or at least a destination, as even the Churchill War Rooms. So Yeah. Oh, I think Tom Chamberlain's joining us. Tom, so great to see you. Thanks for joining me. And so Tom actually gave us one other reason to celebrate this year. He was very generous in including me in the December issue of The Rake as one of the Rakes of the Year, the edifier, if you will. There it is right there. I'm still waiting for my subscription to arrive in the mail. Tom was nice enough to send us that PDF so that we could use it on this channel. If you don't subscribe to The Rake, it is really it's a necessity. I mean, it's as much of a requirement for the well-dressed as subscribing to this channel. And of course, Tom, the editor of The Rake at the helm there, is doing an absolutely exceptional job. We share so much in common, of course, our appreciation for quality, craftsmanship, and tradition, but also a love of fine Cuban cigars. And so Tom's kind of side project with this cellar, or what is it? It's Cigar Keep, is pretty exciting. So with that, why don't we say a toast? So this is to celebrate a huge milestone here, 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Again, whenever we started on this journey, it is not a milestone that I ever dreamed that we would be passing. 40,000 followers on Instagram, and then of course one of the Rakes of the Year. This couldn't be a better way to end 2021. So gentlemen, cheers. That's delicious. Paired with a nice cigar, life doesn't get any better than this. You know, one of the things I love about a good Cuban cigar, especially one that has a little bit of age, is they don't have any of the spice or the harshness I also often find on New World cigars. This Por La Araña is starting off so smoothly. This is the, I guess, 2015 or 2016 Exclusivo for Great Britain. Absolutely exceptional cigar. So let's see, taking a look at some of your comments here. Absolutely incredible. So, commissioning a pair of bespoke triggers. Haven't. The London content is the pinnacle of this channel. Really looking forward to the pool series. So yes, I mean, we have so much to celebrate about. I couldn't be any more satisfied with kind of how the channel is going. And the channel really has taken on a life of its own, if you will. I mean, those that have been subscribers of the channel for a long time would certainly remember that whenever we first started, it was primarily shoe shine tutorials and other just videos, educational videos about taking care of one's wardrobe. But we've really evolved, and I feel like hit the sweet spot, and certainly a niche that is a passion of mine, and that is exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Of course, you all hear me speak so often about that, but it truly is, the core of what it is I'm passionate about, and that is going out into the world, traveling, and meeting bespoke artisans that that exemplify those characteristics and are doing work at the highest level. Of course, in this channel so far, we have explored that through the world of bespoke suiting, bespoke shirts, bespoke shoes, but we've really had so much fun branching out into the entire lifestyle of that gentleman. Cigars, whiskey. We're going to be working on a shooting series with the pool that I'm very excited about. We should be getting up to Scotland hopefully sometime in February. So we'll travel to London. We'll finish off that 6-piece or 5-piece shooter that Pool is working on for me. And then we're going to head up to Scotland to go visit the mill, Lovett Mill, that actually wove the fabric, and then head to an estate in the area to learn about the tradition and really the rituals surrounding a proper English shoot. So that is some content that I know that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully you all are also. So let's see. Of course, we've got plenty of time in the world, and let's sit here and enjoy this with one another. So if you are smoking something or drinking something, please do let us know in the comments below. I'm looking at all these right here. And, of course, this is kind of the middle of the afternoon for us in America, but hopefully we're able to carve off some time. A little bit of a challenge since we've got such a worldwide audience. If we do it too late here, local time, then our good friends abroad aren't able to watch because it's too late in the night. drinking an old-fashioned, Francisco. Good work there. A video tutorial on how to shave with a bow tie on. Yeah, so we almost have that. I mean, how to shave with a tie. You know, people really give us a little bit of ribbing for that shaving video. Again, one of my favorites. And you know, anyone that thinks that I was going to, you know, film a video, I don't know, in a pair of boxers and a T-shirt for this channel, clearly doesn't know Kirby Allison that well. Yeah. So Ollie was mentioning that he missed getting together with us. And you know, one of the things that we really want to look into is carving out a little bit more time for London for meet and greets. So, you know, if you're in New York, or if you're in London, or if you're in a city that we travel to and would be interested in those meet and greets, let us know. That is certainly something that we are looking to do. Maybe whenever we're back in London in February, God willing, that we'll be able to organize one of those. Yeah, everyone could share a drink and a cigar, which would be great. So this, again, great vintage champagne. Again, a good friend of mine once taught me whenever I was younger that one of the virtues of champagne is that it really goes well with everything. There's never an occasion in which champagne is not appropriate. Here, of course, on this 250,000 subscriber black tie live stream, champagne is very appropriate. But you know, if you're eating steak or just at home alone or having cheese or whatever, champagne is, of course, a great drink to enjoy. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our plans for 2022. You know, of course, you know, the only way that we really have to monetize this channel right now is through sales of products on KirbyAllison.com. Hopefully everyone that's watching or everyone that enjoys our videos, you know, takes an opportunity to go visit KirbyAllison.com and see some of the items that we sell there. Of course, I think that we've got the finest collection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, as well as other great clothing accessories like our sovereign grade neckties, our bow ties, socks. I'm wearing a pair of our socks right now. We even have cufflinks. These golden acorn cufflinks that I have were originally a gift from my wife, but those are available on the website. But the reality is that, you know, I know that our appeal on this channel is to a much broader audience. Now, it is, of course, you know, the website that supports our ability to be able to film these videos. It's always been our opinion and our position that if we are going to be filming content, especially the people with whom we film, that we want it to be done very professionally and at a very high level, because in my opinion, that's what honors the people that we film with. I mean, how do you walk into a John Lobb, London, you know, one of the oldest bespoke shoemakers in the world, certainly the most prestigious, you know, fifth generation family firm, and film with your iPhone? You just don't do it, right? We've got a fully professional, we've got a fully professional studio with professional video equipment and really talented video editors to really bring the high quality content that all of you expect. Now, the challenge that we, of course, have run into is that, you know, traveling to London, traveling to some of the other places that you've all suggested exceeds the limits of even our very generous marketing budget. And so as we look to 2022, the feedback that we've gotten from so many of the other people watching this channel is that they want to see us film more of the travel content. And to be completely honest, that's the content I love and enjoy filming the most anyway. And so naturally, it's the type of content that I want to be filming. So one of the things that we've decided to do, and it's a little bit of a leap here, is launch a Patreon. Now, of course, everyone might be familiar with Hugo Giacome. He has a very long-standing Patreon. But the idea here is allowing those who really are passionate about quality craftsmanship and tradition to support the YouTube channel, right? So maybe you live abroad, you're not able to buy anything from us on the website, or maybe you've got all the hangers and shoe polish you could ever want and just want to watch more videos. And so the Patreon is a great way to be able to support this channel. Now, the purpose of this, and really the exclusive purpose of this Patreon, is to support our ability to travel. So one of the things that we want to make very clear is that 100% of the proceeds from this Patreon channel, or the Patreon memberships, are going to support travel. So those of us that say, we'd love to see you go spend some time in Italy, well, if we can get to Italy, we'd love to film. And one of the other things that is a constant challenge is that the people with whom we want to film are are characteristically small, independent artisans. They don't have marketing budgets to kind of help us, help support our travel to get out to kind of the corners of the world to visit them. So the idea is that, again, through this Patreon channel, not only are you supporting us and our content and our ability to film and produce it, but really more than that, you're supporting the artisans with whom we film. This channel, as so many of the people with whom we film have said, has really given them a platform to talk about what it is they do to a wider audience. And people like Dominic Casey, who, are exceptionally talented shoemakers, don't have the ability to film their own videos, don't have the ability to do marketing, like a larger company like John Lobb, for example. And so our videos have really helped them grow their own businesses. So I'd be very interested to see what you think. We've got several different membership levels, again, and I don't want this to be just a pitch, but the idea is that, for as little as $5 a month, you can help support our ability to get out in the world to film. Of course, it goes all the way up from there. And the idea is that, we are going to be offering different perks and benefits. Like, for instance, I think at the $25 level, you get a standing 5 or 10% discount on the website. At some of the other levels, maybe you get an exclusive kind of club tie that we have produced just for our Patreon members. And so you can take a look at again, patreon.com/Kirby Allison, and see all those specific benefits. But again, the idea is that, for those that are really passionate about quality craftsmanship and tradition and want to see us film more content, that this is going to allow us to do that. And as I said before, this isn't something that is going to me directly. 100% of these funds are going to support our ability to travel. So taking a look at your comments here, yep, $250 a month. Hey, you know what? There might be someone out there that has a little bit of extra change to spare and would love to see us go film in some of the far corners of the world. And if they do, we would love to do that. But that said, even $5 a month is something that we would appreciate. Yeah. So, the idea is, of course, that we're not going to plug it too often or too aggressively. But the idea is that it's something that we're launching right now. We kind of wanted to tell you all about it. It's going to be a permanent part of this channel. It's certainly not going to affect the content. We are going to still continue to publish, and we're still going to continue to travel as we always have. Let's see. So that's kind of what it is. One of the other opportunities is that I think it gives a platform for those that maybe want to be a little bit more involved in the channel, vote on where we go or with whom we film, to be able to do that. So there we go. And we also have YouTube channel memberships that, if you don't want to do the Patreon thing, again, just want to join through clicking kind of the YouTube channel membership, that's there also. And we'll see what happens. If nothing happens, you'll continue to see the content that we've been already filming. Of course, we have every intention to continue to do it. We have certainly the benefit of the website to kind of help support that. But the idea and the goal for us is always to be able to film a TV series, if you will. And the idea with this has been to maybe crowdsource some of that funding as opposed to waiting for some big network like Netflix to come along and offer us a big check to go do just some truly exceptional content. So Elephant wants to see us, Elephant in the Room, thank you for joining us, would like to see us go back and film with Huntsman, New York. So a little bit of story about Huntsman. So Huntsman, of course, is one of the preeminent Savile Row-based bespoke tailors, kind of part of the Big Four, the Big Five. Of course, you've got Henry Poole, you've got Anderson and Shepard, you've got Henry Poole, I said Henry Poole, Huntsman, and then Dejan, Skinner. Those are probably the big four. You've got Gives and Hawks, but they've almost in some ways become more of a department store. They still, of course, do bespoke and do exceptional work. And so Huntsman was the first of the Savile Row tailors to open a New York-based cutting room. And so they really went out on a limb there. It was a pretty bold move back whenever they did it. But I think in so many ways, what's happened with the pandemic has really validated the value of having an actual permanent physical presence here in the United States that operates really independently and autonomously from Huntsman in London. Now, all of the garments are still made in London, but you've got Ralph, the head cutter at Turco, who's kind of the front of house guy. They're based permanently in New York. Ralph can meet with you. He can travel around the United States. They can take your measurements. They can draft your pattern all from New York and then send that over to London to be made up. And I kind of say, during the lockdowns of 2020 and 2021, I think in many ways, Huntsman served as kind of the Berlin airlift of Savile Row. It's really incredible the amount of business and the amount of volume that they were able to send to London. And it really was a lifeline for so many of the bespoke tailors and makers, because without Huntsman, there really would have been even less volume to kind of keep all those guys afloat. Now, we'd love to go back and film with Huntsman in New York. It's certainly something that we should be talking to them about. But to be honest, they've become so busy during the lockdown that, I don't even know if they'd have time for us. Cuba is also on the bucket list right now. Of course, the cigar content is amongst my favorite. I enjoy a nice cigar. Almost more than anything. I'm smoking in our studio right now. You may have seen the smoke filtration system that we installed. We've got smoke filtration right now while still being able to film with clear audio. That is like something of a technical feat. We filmed an entire video on the design of that system. Those are the carbon canisters right there. A rare shot of Kirby Allison in rare form right there, walking around in shorts and a t-shirt. But the thing is almost as large as a bus. And so, this new studio that we have in our warehouse is soundproof, or as much as it can be without spending a fortune. And again, just another kind of detail that we've paid attention to help us elevate the quality of the content that we bring all of you on this YouTube channel. This is so incredibly smooth. Again, everything that I love in a fine cigar, fine Cuban cigar, is exemplified in this stick right here. So thank you, Mr. Johnson. Absolutely incredible cigar. Thank you, Grayson. Again, super chat. Again, these contributions go directly to our travel budget, and we've got a few exciting things planned for 2022 that I'm already working on right now. Maybe this is a good opportunity to share those with you after I take another puff of this and a swig of that champagne. Hard to blow cigar rings or smoke rings with the air filtration system running. Let's see. So, ironing shirts would be highly appreciated. Duly noted, and something that we will work on. Do I drink red wine? I do, but I have to say that if I'm drinking at home, my wife and I very rarely open up bottles of wine during the week. So if I'm going to have a drink, it's probably more of a scotch or maybe a whiskey, like a bourbon. This is really good. Not based in London, Paul the Piper, based in Texas, but we like to get to London as often as we can. Winter shoe care. If you have your video suggestions, please note them below, because we make a point to write all those down while we are filming. I do have some cognac, some nice XOs. I've got some Armagnacs in the office right here. So let's see, did I just ash on myself? Nope. So 2022, what do we have filmed? So many of you will be very excited to know that our first shoot of 2022 is going to be in Austin, Texas with Lee Miller. He is working on my boots. We are going down to Austin at the end of the first week of January. It's literally right out of the gate. January, I think 4th or 5th, we're headed down. We're going to spend 2 days filming with Lee Miller on the construction of my boots. And those are something that I completely expect to have completed sometime before April of next year. So that is a very exciting start to the year. Next, sometime in the beginning of February, I think it's February 7th maybe, we plan to be going back to London again, God willing, that we're able to travel. And we'll continue work on our Huntsman series, Henry Poole series that we've started. You've probably seen some of those photographs on Instagram. And the idea is to really explore the world of shooting, right? I mean, this is one of the quintessential gentlemanly pursuits. It is a cornerstone of the gentleman's lifestyle in London or in England. You've got, of course, these magnificent estates that have existed for hundreds of years, have incredible history, and they have some of the most beautiful grounds of that you've ever seen. And so shooting, of course, is one of the ways that they conserve the land and kind of manage the wildlife population. But it's also become very much a revenue kind of lifeline for these firms. So the idea was, again, Henry Poole, of course, has a long history in creating these shooting suits that are so specific to just shooting in London. I mean, you would never see someone here in America hunting in a proper tweed shooting suit. But if you showed up to a shoot in London or in England, or Scotland for that matter, wearing anything but that, you probably wouldn't be allowed out into the fields to actually have any fun. So we, of course, met with Simon Cundy, the family member that is in charge of Poole. It's kind of in his hands as a custodian. And we worked through kind of the design of a proper shooting suit. We got measured and fit for that the last time we were in London. And so the idea is to go back to London in February, have a third fitting and actually have that piece completed, and then take it up to Scotland to go on a proper shoot. So that's very exciting. That is something that hopefully we'll see published sometime soon. Let's see, we might have some actual footage from that right here. I don't know if that's the right one. Now, that's actually Poole's website, so you can see Simon Cundy right there. Maybe if we can kind of pull up some photographs, or is that the video? Let's see. Is that from their website? You know, Caleb, I don't know what's on the shooting menu, but I'm sure they'll let me know once I get there. Again, I've got so much to learn about proper British shooting that I'm really looking forward to it. And so this is going to be, I think, a 5-part series, following the construction of that suit that Poole is making, really beginning at the mill as the fabric is being woven, right? Seeing it delivered into London, cut, basted together, first fitting, torn apart, adjustments made, actually constructed together for a second fitting, and then final fitting. And so that's very exciting. And Texas clay shooting or hunting is very popular. Of course, yes, we do that. I like to go dove hunting every November with my family. Yeah, in the beginning of that piece, of course, was selecting the fabric and how exactly that piece was going to be designed with Mr. Cundy, with Simon. And again, that's one of the true virtues of being able to work with one of the historic kind of heritage Savile Row bespoke tailoring firms, is the fact that you really are, inheriting so much of this great tradition in that process. So those are the shoots that are on the books for right now. And let me talk a little bit about some of the shoots that we'd like to go film in addition to those. So it's been on my bucket list to be able to make it up to Chicago to go visit with Horween. While we're up in Chicago, we'd love to visit Oxford Clothiers, of course, one of the great American tailoring houses. One of the other things that is currently planned is being able to spend a little bit of time in Europe during the summer. So I've got a good friend that's got a house in Bretagne, and kind of in the French countryside. And so the plan right now is to take the kids and spend several weeks in France, and really using that house as a launching ground to be able to go film in and around Europe. Again, one of our big challenges is just carving out the time to go to Italy, or to go film in Paris, or to go actually sit down with Dominic Casey in his workshop and film the entire process of how a suit is made. We'd love to go visit Carmina and Mallorca and see how they make their incredible shoes. And there's just so much of what we'd love to film in and around Europe that we just need time to do it. And so that is on the books also. So another thing that could be exciting, Eliza's is suggesting that we come visit in Norway. And again, this is the whole purpose of the Patreon channel. It's just allowing us to travel to these far kind of places, these nooks and crannies, to find, really the best artisans that are passionate about quality craftsmanship and tradition. And we travel. There's three of us. I mean, we've got me, a cameraman, of course, Reese, our director of videography, based in Ireland, goes with us. Normally, we hire a second camera person or camera operator that's local to wherever it is we're filming. And then we've got a producer that travels with me also. So again, this isn't bootstrapped at this point. I mean, we really are striving to bring you quality content at the highest level. Locke, it's funny, we reached out to Locke & Co., of course, the hat maker there on St. James's Street. We've had a little bit of trouble getting in touch with them. Sometimes it's challenging to kind of break through the marketing department, if you will, to someone that actually kind of knows what it is that we can film and the quality at which we film it. But next time we're there, we're certainly going to be taking a point to come in and see it. Of course, Tom Chamberlain, my good friend, we're going to come back and see Tom, enjoy a nice cigar together. We actually filmed an absolutely brilliant video with Tom while in London, of kind of a bucket list day in London, if you will, where Tom and I went around London and kind of enjoyed some of our favorite things. It started with a wet shave at Truefit & Hill, right next to the club on St. James's Street. We walked up St. James's to the Piccadilly Arcade, dropped in, said hello to a few friends, went around to the Royal Arcade, and then, of course, to Savile Row. We dropped in Graziano and Gerling, said hello to them. We went to the service, had some coffee, and then I think we went and visited one of his good friends in Taylor, Kent and Haste. We filmed a video with them while we were in London. And then we ended back on Jermyn Street at Floris, where the director of Floris was able to welcome us in to their back kind of private salon where they do their bespoke fragrance development. And so we learned a little bit about their history before being whisked away to enjoy cigars, afternoon cigars, in each other's good company. So that is a absolutely mammoth of an edit that we're hoping to start here soon. And I know everyone will certainly enjoy that. Yeah, I mean, you're hitting kind of all the highlights right there. I mean, of course, we'd love to film with Fox Brothers. Douglas Cordeau would be another amazing thing. I mean, one of the things that is just on my bucket list is to go spend 2 days with Dominic Casey at his workshop and actually film the process of a bespoke pair of shoes being made. All this just requires time and a little bit of a travel budget. And not to plug our Patreon too hard, but that's really kind of how that exists. I mean, we are really limited in how much we can travel just from our, KirbyAllison.com marketing budget, which I have to say is pretty generous. I mean, I don't know anyone else on YouTube, certainly within this space, that invests the amount of money that we do in their YouTube channel. And all of that is to bring content at the highest level to those passionate about quality craftsmanship and tradition. It's one of my great joys, and if I could do that, of course, full-time, I'd never work another day in my life. Yeah. So Weller Games, to answer your question, that is Tom Chamberlain, editor of The Rake. I mean, he is, of course, a as much of a legend in this kind of world of quality craftsmanship and tradition as anyone. If you're not a subscriber to the Rake, you should be. Their website was down earlier today, but it might probably be back up. If not, check back. It's a subscription, of course. Shoot, that I think I've enjoyed going on 10 years, if not longer. I mean, I still have some of the early copies of the Rake. I think I've got some of the original issues, like the first 12 that they ever published. So it's an absolutely incredible magazine, and I have to say, it is really an honor of all honors to be included in the Rake as one of their Rakes of the Year. Let's pull that up just one more time because I enjoy seeing that. I actually sent that out to my entire family. I was so proud of it, and they, I think, chose 12 different Rakes, kind of all across different kind of categories, if you will, and to be included in the Rake as one of the Rakes of the Year. Man, gosh, what an honor. Thank you, Cyclos Carabango, for your super chat contribution of $5. Again, all this goes to support our travel budget. And so, let us know kind of where you're joining us from. Merry Christmas, of course. We, of course, all know why we're celebrating that. We've got someone joining us from Ireland. Enjoyed a fantastic breakfast at the Wolseley last month. It was a great recommendation from us. Thank you. So the Wolseley was one of my top recommendations for breakfast in London. And so we've got two great videos. I mean, one being, I think, the 7 most historic restaurants for the well-dressed in London. And then another one, some of my favorite places to go grab breakfast. The last time we were in London, we had the opportunity of filming at Rules. Ricky, who is their general manager, was very gracious. He's someone that watches the channel, really speaks to the caliber of our audience in so many ways. And so he was very familiar with the content that we filmed. Actually opened up Rules for us in the morning for us to come film before any patrons were in there. And we really got the grand tour. That video is already up on the YouTube channel. If you haven't watched it, I encourage that you do. Again, one of my favorites. What a cigar. This is absolutely exceptional. How do you think about the cheaper New World cigars? Well, interestingly enough, some of the New World cigars aren't necessarily any less expensive than a good Cuban cigar. Cigar One, I get a lot of my Cuban cigars from them. You can buy a box of Cuban cigars for less than what a dozen New World cigars will cost. So, you've got to commit to the box. You've got to find a place to store it. But you can certainly get some Cuban cigars for less than $20 a stick if you're able and willing to invest in a full box. They can ship to the United States without much problem. I've never actually had a box not arrive. And again, the cigar content is amongst my favorite. Let's see, Matthew, my wife is Mexican. She is. Perhaps that would be an idea, Central America, and visit a tobacco plantation. So one of the other things, so I got distracted there. So we were talking about some of the films that we would like to, or videos we'd like to film in 2022. So speaking of Mexico, one of the other things that we're working on is a trip to Mexico City. Right, so there is a tobacco brand. I'm going to pull it up right here. It's a new cigar company. It's called Casa 1910 in Mexico. It is actually, to the best of my knowledge, the first cigar company actually making New World cigars from Mexican tobacco, so grown in Mexico, rolled in Mexico. Their distribution will probably, at least for the immediate future, only be in Mexico, but they're, of course, fans of the channel and have offered to fly us down to Mexico City to film some content with them, which I certainly would more than eagerly oblige to do. But one of the other things that we want to film while we're down there is an interview with Max Gutman, who is the exclusive importer of Cuban cigars into Mexico. He's actually the one that introduced me, not personally, but from one of the articles or interviews written about him in Cigar Aficionado, to my favorite cigar, which is the Partagas Lusitania. And I'll never forget reading the article. The Partagas Lusitania actually served as the inspiration for his first regional, which was the Edmundo Dante 109, which is essentially a Lusitania, which is a very long format, double Churchill or Churchill size cigar. And he was talking about what he liked most about that cigar is how, it just was an echo of a bygone era where gentlemen really had that much time to smoke a cigar in the afternoon. So I really liked that, and so that kind of put me on my Partagas Lusitania bent. I've got a few cabinets of 50 of those. It's one of the few Cuban cigars that they still sell in cabinets of 50. I bought my first cabinet of Partagas Lusitanias from Eddie at Davidoff of London, and I still remember, just how nervous I was buying that, because let me tell you, it was quite an investment. But boy, has it paid great dividends. So that is another video that we plan on filming. And the idea is that if we're down there and if we do this interview with Max, it would be very similar to what we've done with the Sahakians. I mean, he is, again, another legend in the Cuban tobacco kind of world. And so, we'd go visit maybe some of the other Mexican artisans. Maybe there's a gentleman that makes gaviberas, those traditional shirts that we've had an invitation to go visit. So again, the whole purpose of the Patreon is to really kind of give us the latitude to have a little bit more flexibility in where we go and with whom we film. Let's see, what else? Looking forward to seeing you in a true white tie ensemble. I have actually a morning suit, but I don't have tails. Have I ever had a 900-pound cigar? I don't know. I mean, in the company of the Sahakians, it's hard to know, what you're smoking because they're so generous. I wouldn't be surprised that they haven't given me something that to enjoy in that ballpark. They've certainly been very generous with me. I mean, again, the Sahakians are commensurate gentlemen, and they're good friends. I mean, it's an honor to call them good friends. But I would suspect that there's hardly someone that walks through that shop regularly that doesn't feel like they're good friends with the Sahakians, because they're just so hospitable. The small geek. So you hit the nail on the head. So one of the other videos that I am super keen on filming sometime in 2022 is a trip to Cuba. And we've spoken to the Sahakians, we've spoken to Jim Freeman, and we're hoping to kind of put together a little bit of a syndicate, if you will, to kind of help underwrite that trip. And I have to say, going to visit in Cuba is a bucket list shoot. Of all the shoots that I'm looking forward to in 2022, I don't think that there is one that I would enjoy more than going to film in Cuba. I mean, there's just something romantic about a hand-rolled Cuban cigar. I mean, again, those characteristics of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. I mean, Cuban cigars, widely considered amongst the finest cigars in the world. The quality is undeniable. The craftsmanship of having them hand-rolled, of the growing of the tobacco. If you think about it, a Cuban cigar, or cigars in general, there's probably one of the, it's probably one of the most widely enjoyed, completely handmade product there is out there. I mean, this is totally handmade, and you can enjoy this for as little as $10, $15, $20. We'd love to go to Henley. I mean, we'd love to film at all of the kind of London social circuits. So, of course, you've got Ascot, you've got the Chelsea Flower Show, and then you've got Henley. That's kind of the summer social circuit. Again, so much tradition. And actually, interestingly enough, we were having this conversation with Simon Cundy. The Goodwood revival is becoming a fast part of the London social circuit. So we'd love to go film at Goodwood also. Christian, Charvet Paris would be another pinnacle shoot for me, right up there with filming at John Lobb on St. James's. Everyone knows that I've got a really soft place for Charvet. I mean, it's kind of one of my first loves, if you will. The black tie shirt, the evening shirt that I'm wearing right now, is actually a bespoke shirt from Charvet. They, I think, make one of the finest shirts in the world. So Muhammad is saying that he doesn't drink alcohol, and so what would we suggest while smoking a cigar? again, a little bit of sparkling water, I think, is a great accompaniment to a cigar. I find that the carbonation, the bubbles, help cleanse the palate. So if I'm not drinking any type of alcoholic beverage, which oftentimes during the afternoon if I'm having a cigar while working, of course I'm not, I think a nice sparkling water really goes a long way. So Elias is asking a question, do I plan on wearing black tie Christmas Eve? With 3 young kids, I don't know if I'll quite hit black tie Christmas Eve, but it is a tradition to pull out the fine china and the crystal and have a proper family dinner Christmas Eve. So I do look forward to cooking that this Friday. I'm doing too much talking and not enough smoking. So forgive me a moment. I might need to touch this up a little bit. It's starting to smolder a little bit. So I think Tom Chamberlain's another gentleman we need to bring on one of these black tie live streams. So Tom, if you're watching, pick out a date in January and let's do this. Let's see. Have I been to London in the summertime? I'm sure I have. Not recently, but certainly. Totally forgot. We really need to write all these down. I mean, there's so many opportunities for filming in 2022 that I can't even keep track of them in my head. One of the other ones that I'm really looking forward to, of course, is the 2022 World Championship in Shoemaking and World Championship in Shoe Shining. This has been rescheduled for May 2022, and we have every intention, of course, of being back in London to film. And so we'll be there just like we were in 2019. Of course, there's been a 2-year hiatus because of everything going on in the world, but we will certainly be there. Where would my first stop be in Cuba? That's a good question. I think my first stop would probably be, what is the Grand Habano hotel right there in Havana? They've got, of course, an incredibly historic hotel right there in downtown Havana. I mean, it's really a dream of mine to be able to travel to Cuba and just smoke a nice Cuban cigar on a terrace. I mean, wouldn't that be an amazing video? Filmed in Cuba on a beautiful terrace at a historic Cuban hotel with the Sahakians, maybe Jim Freeman, maybe even our good friend Tom Chamberlain, smoking cigars and just discussing. Nick Fowkes, of course, how could we forget about him? Smoking a cigar and just reminiscing and speaking and discussing just the incredible rich history of that country and the rich history of fine Cuban cigars. Amongst my favorite. Thank you, Mohammed. 5 pounds right there. Appreciate that. We helped them get through lockdowns. Of course, during lockdowns, it was a difficult period for all of us, and we had to kind of reinvent the wheel, if you did. We were filming almost a daily live streams during the lockdown, so it's kind of hard to imagine, and now looking back. I'm going to need to top off here in a second. So would I like to visit Belgium? Soundwave 8000? Yes, I mean, shoot, there's no country in Europe we wouldn't enjoy visiting. We'd love to visit Belgium. We'd love to go to Italy. I really want to go back to France. It would be fun to go to Spain, to visit Mallorca, and to go visit the Carmina factory. Shoot, we'd love to make it to Japan one day. I mean, there's just limitless possibilities in terms of content for us to go out there and film. There's nothing more I would love than to be able to completely step away from actually running KirbyAllison.com and just film exclusively. I mean, that is without question a dream of mine. So Elias is asking a question, which is, do I exercise regularly in order to keep my shape to my suits and shirts? So there's no question that there was a little bit of lockdown weight put on, as I'm sure many of you probably experienced. And all of my trousers now are cut high-waisted for braces. We, of course, have an exceptional selection of sovereign-grade braces on the website. We're now back almost fully restocked. We got a huge shipment of our Thurston braces. They make the braces for us. We use, of course, many of the kind of quintessential fabrics that, of course, is a part of Thurston's collection. But we also have our braces made with exclusive fabrics to us. For instance, the A lot of the ancient matter silks that you find used in our ties, we use in our braces also, and those can all be found online under our belts and braces section right there, and we're back in stock in most of those. Those right there, again, that dark navy ancient matter is amongst my most favorite silks and tie, and I think it makes an absolutely beautiful brace. So my story. So, so I have to admit, during lockdown, I probably put on a nice 15 pounds. If you look back to some of our older videos, you probably see it in my face. And once my high-waisted trousers started fitting tight, which is a real, alarm bell, because braces are cut pretty loose, I knew that something dramatic needed to happen. As I often joke with my wife, I can't afford to gain weight because I can't afford a new wardrobe. And so I started training for a marathon, and 2 weeks ago, I completed my first marathon ever, 26.1 miles. I finished it in 4 hours flat. You can see some of the photographs of that. Well, shoot, I don't think I have them up on my Instagram because they were just stories, so maybe I need to put those back. Yeah, they're not on there. So I should add some of those photographs back to my Instagram feed so that they're there permanently. Of course, if you don't follow me on Instagram, at Kirby Allison is a great way to kind of stay in touch. A lot of people actually reach out to me directly through that Instagram, and I have to say I get back to all of those comments, or most of them, personally. Kentucky Derby, that would be fun also. Yeah, I mean, again, the opportunities for us to film is really limitless. The only constraint that we have right now is our production budget. And it's not even our production budget because, honestly, we already pay, for 2 full-time editors. So being able to film and edit those pieces is not a constraint. We've got an incredible team, exceptionally talented. I think that you would all agree they put out absolutely exceptional work at the highest level. But it's just being able to take the time away from the business to be able to travel to those places. So we would love to do that. Levi Hansen, thank you so much for the donation. You can join the YouTube channel membership and the Patreon also, but all of that, of course, is much appreciated because it's what allows us to go and film more of this content. So let's see. We've got Grayson with $50. Looking forward. Congrats on 250,000 subscribers. Thank you. A video about Albert slippers would be interesting. Yep. Love to see more watch content. Yeah, we'd love to do something. Nick Fowkes, of course, is kind of the king of watches. He produces or writes some of the best content to come out of London in watches. We'd love to sit down and just talk to him about watches. Again, we could sit and film for ages. Thoughts on the closing of JR? So we announced this on Instagram, and I think we were actually the first to mention it, is that JR has actually struck a deal, a partnership, if you will, with another tannery in Germany to basically transfer their production over. Pour some more champagne. Of course, the control room always gives me a little bit of trouble for drinking too much on these live streams, so you'll have to let me know what you all think of that, but here we are celebrating, and so why not? As far as I'm concerned, in this studio, there's no windows anymore. That used to be a window at our old office, and so whenever we moved in here, it was one of our goals to replicate the set design, and so we kind of put this in. This is really my happy space. I sit at my desk, I look at this corner of the room, and I have to say, one day whenever I have a proper study, it's going to look just like this. I'm going to have a nice wood-burning fireplace. I'll have an incredible smoke filtration system, and that is something that one day I will hopefully enjoy. 3 children might be delayed a little bit because, let me tell you, those buggers are expensive. But you all know a nice place to smoke indoors, I think, is one of the greatest refinements. I find it, one of the, again, it's my opinion that the only civilized place to smoke is indoors, unless you're somewhere in the Caribbean with good weather outside. I think being relegated to smoking outdoors is not really one of my favorite things. Do I have a full-time job in addition to your store and YouTube channel? Yeah, I'm a full-time father and husband, and I have to tell you, sometimes that takes a lot of time also. So Bob, how much is your warehouse rent? So Bob, we actually have a video about this on the YouTube channel. We actually bought this warehouse. That was another really big kind of strategic development of 2021. Rent in Dallas is absolutely outrageous. And so the other warehouse that we had been in for 7 years, we went up to renew our lease, and they wanted to like increase rent by 50% or something absolutely crazy. And so that's really what kind of catalyzed the opportunity to come and look to actually acquire something. And so we bought this building, and it really was great because now that we own it, we were able to really spend and invest the money to build this out to be exactly how we wanted it. So we've got this beautiful studio, we've got this absolutely incredible smoke filtration system. And one of the other things that we're working on, it's a little bit of a crazy idea that I'll share with you in a second, is something that's going to be quite fun. Yeah, Levi, thank you for your donation. I think we thanked you, but the control room is, of course, telling me to thank you again. So here we've got a little clip of the video. Why don't we move that over? So this is us moving out of our old office into the new office. You can see kind of that process. You know, we filmed it over the course of a few months. Really kind of, I guess, really kind of showcasing that journey of us tearing down that old set at our old office, rebuilding the new one, moving everything over, and it was a huge project. That was my old smoke filtration system. It was a huge project in 2021. It took a lot of time. And there we go. So that's fun. So the next thing that I'm working on, so you know, I'm going to blame Dominic Johnson, or Mr. Johnson, for this, and Tom Chamberlain for this crazy idea. You all know that I am a little bit of a fanatic for Cuban cigars, or cigars in general. And I feel like it's kind of in our nature as men, whenever we're passionate about something, to kind of turn into collectors, if you will. And, you know, we all love to hoard, whether it be bespoke shoes and bespoke suits, anything we love. You know, we really love to pursue with kind of all of our personal vigor. And cigars, you know, has kind of turned into one of those pursuits for me. I'm not a collector of wine, but I certainly would one day like to consider myself a collector of cigars. Now, I've got the small cabinet humidor in my office. You guys have all seen that. Earlier this year, there's no question I outgrew that thing. I mean, it was like a jigsaw puzzle. It was like Tetris trying to get everything to fit. And so I bought a small, not small, I mean, it's about the size of a, well, it's twice the size of that, little electronic humidor cabinet thing. But the problem is that it does a terrible job maintaining humidity. I mean, the humidity is all over the place. I think it jumps, it swings like 20% depending on what the temperature is. It does an absolutely terrible job. And so I got the idea after this trip to London to look into building a walk-in humidor. Yep, that's right. We've got the room here in the office, and I figured, you know what, it's probably a long time before I'm ever going to be able to enjoy a walk-in humidor at home. I don't think I'd want to do it anyway because I prefer to keep my cigar collection a little bit out of my wife's purview, if you will. And so the idea is to build one here. So we actually have some plans that we drew up that we're working on right now. Kate, I don't know if you can zoom into that a little bit, but the idea is to build basically I think it's a 10 by 15. I mean, it's essentially a 100 square foot walk-in humidor. Can we zoom out a little bit? That's a little bit too much. Yeah, so recenter it. Yep, zoom in a little bit. That's too much. Just get the plans. Okay, now bump it up a little bit. So the idea is to build a walk-in humidor that would allow me more room to store my cigars. It would be a much more controlled environment. Of course, the larger the environment, the more wood that you have, and the higher quality of the equipment, the more it is able to really maintain a stable temperature and humidity that really creates great conditions for aging. So the idea is that it's kind of a long corridor. You'd walk in. To the right would be shelves to store boxes of cigars, and then on the bottom the idea is to build out some cigar lockers for some of my good friends here in Dallas or around the world that might like to store some cigars there. And then on the other side we're going to have a I don't know what you would call it, a little bit of room for wine, some cabinets at the top, and then a countertop to allow us to film unboxing videos inside that humidor. So you'll have to let me know what you guys think about that. We're currently working with a firm based in New England called Vigilant, that is one of the leading manufacturers here in the United States, at least, of cigar humidors. They do walk-in humidors. It's one of the only firms here in the United States I know that specializes in walk-in humidors. They also do really elaborate wine cellars. And so we're working with them and Wine Guardian to kind of put together the plans for that. So let me know what you think about that. A little crazy. We're seeing if we can kind of help them, help subsidize that a little bit, help blunt some of the cost of what it would be to build that. Everyone asks whether or not smoking cigars is bad for you. I can't quote this. I mean, trust me, I had a grandfather and a mother both pass away from lung cancer, but they were cigarette smokers. One of the things that I think is an important point of differentiation between cigars and cigarettes is that you don't inhale this. You're really just inhaling it into your mouth, but not your lungs, and that is a big difference. And then I think anything in modesty or moderation is important. So, what's the inspiration for the colored wall? So, my inspiration for this side of the set, it's a little bit of a hybrid. I mean, this side, you've all seen kind of the built-in armoire. The idea there is that this is kind of like a walk-in closet to allow us to do some of our garment stuff here. This is the side of the room that we welcome our bespoke tailors and shirt makers onto. We do a lot of our interviews on this side of the room. But the drapes, the cream-colored walls, really was inspired by many of the clubs that I frequent in and around London and Paris. The decorations of those grand rooms always revolves around the gem colors. You have your greens, your blues, and your burgundies. They're very rich colors. They're very masculine in their, kind of in their hue. And so that was really the inspiration here, is to make it feel like a club. We've got our reproduction of one of the Duke of Wellington's portraits or paintings of the Battle of Waterloo here. He's kind of the patron saint. Steve, hey, thank you so much. Thank you for the great content. I've learned a wealth of knowledge through your videos. I also learned about Carmina shoes through us. Thank you. Cheers. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Steve. Merry Christmas, Steve. Thank you. And so Carmina, we've really enjoyed filming with Carmina. I had the opportunity to visit their new Madison Avenue boutique whenever I was in New York this last weekend with my son Nathaniel, and I'm actually speaking with them about hopefully being able to put together a factory visit sometime this summer. Carmina, I think, does an absolutely exceptional job for the price point. I mean, their shoes are anywhere between $400 and $500, which is not insignificant, but the quality that you get is really exceptional. And I think that, again, value is basically price divided by quality. I think that Carmina has one of the best values out there, so I couldn't recommend them any more enthusiastically. If you have a pair of Carminas, or if you've watched one of our videos with Carmina on this channel, please let me know in the comments below. It's always fun. Okay, next question. How young am I? I'm not feeling that young anymore. I tell you, one way to feel old is to run a marathon. That certainly made me feel old. Okay, let's see. So, Norvik Arizin. I'm probably saying that incorrectly. Forgive me if I am. I often joke that I barely speak English. So, his question is, how did I first become acquainted with the Sahakians? So, I think it was on my first trip to London, I visited the Davidoff of London boutique. And one of the things that I think makes Davidoff of London so special is the Sahakians. Davidoff of London would not be Davidoff of London without the Sahakians. You can't divorce those two. The Sahakians, of course, are Persian, and they are just some of the most hospitable, friendly, nice, or Armenian, some of the nicest, generous gentlemen you'll ever meet. They are a really commensurate gentleman in every meaning of the term. And so the first time I walked in the store, I think I just struck up a conversation with Eddie. Somehow it came up, that I was in the business of selling shoe polish. He said, my father, Edward, he loves shining his shoes, and let me pull him over. So he brings Eddie over, or Edward, Mr. Sahakian, introduces me. Edward starts talking about how, he loves shining his shoes. It's something he does every weekend. He does it in the bathroom because his wife doesn't like the smell of the shoe polish. And so I offered to send him some shoe polish and some hangers. And I think that really was the beginning of that great friendship. Of course, every single time I go to London, it's one of the first places I visit. It's located right on the corner of St. James and Jermyn Street. My club, the Carlton Club, is right across the street and down a little bit. And so it's always one of my first stops. Oftentimes whenever you travel, it's very hard to find Cuban cigars or cigars anywhere. And so most of the time whenever I'm traveling, I travel with my own cigars, with the single exception of going to London. And visiting Davidoff of London on my first day, buying a few cigars to enjoy throughout the trip, really was one of the great rituals that I first fell in love with when visiting London. Brian O'Toole asks if I'm Catholic or religious. I'm Episcopalian, right? Church of England, the Anglican Church. And we've got a beautiful church, Church of the Incarnation here in Dallas. We're there every Sunday. And they've got an absolutely beautiful traditional service. It's very inspired. Great music, very formal. It's high church. And I dress in a suit and tie every Sunday. You can see me there in the pews. I serve also as a chalice bearer. My son Nathaniel, I'm very proud to say, is a chorister. So he sings in the choir. He enjoys now dressing up for church also. Took a little while to get him around to that point, but there we go. Let's see, I think, did Nick Fowkes, Nick Fowkes and Sons is joining us. Nick, oh boy, Merry Christmas, Nick. Nick Max, of course. Nick Fowkes is a legend. I mean, he is a true titan. Of course, he is so well known for all the books that he's written. I've got, I think, every single one of his book on my bookshelf over there. It's, of course, one of the ways that I first was initiated into fine cigars, fine timepieces, fine dressing, and Nick is an arbiter of all things fine. I mean, he is, really as good as it gets. I mean, he is, again, a commensurate gentleman. He's very well dressed. He has his own kind of personal flair and style that is very unique. I mean, Nick is a legend. He's an icon. And he and his son, Max, I think, you guys often talk about how, our live streams got you through lockdown. I would have to say that the videos that Nick and Max filmed at Fowkes and Sons, another YouTube channel, is one of the things that got me through lockdown. They've got, of course, an incredible kind of chemistry together, father and son. I just love that tradition there. And just such a great humidor, or such a great humor. And so if you, of course, enjoy cigars or just enjoy great conversation, here's their channel right there. We'll pull that over. Make sure you subscribe to Fowkes and Sons. I think that's it right there. It's just Fowkes and Sons. It says Nick's Fowkes and Sons. Is that right? That's it. Pull up one of their videos. There we go. That's the right channel. And so they've got absolutely incredible videos. And I've enjoyed watching those so much. And we actually had the opportunity to film with Nick and his son Max while we were in London. We have that video. It was me, Nick, Max, Edward, and Eddie Sahakian. That was a video that I think I was actually nervous to film, being in the presence of such legends. And I think it's got, 150,000 views already. It's only been up for a few months. I mean, it's sure to be one of the fast classics of the channel. And then we also had another video that was really fun to film with his son Max. One of the terms that they coined during their Fowkes and Sons series was the unpopular and the unusual. And I really just love the philosophy of that, which is that, with a little bit of time, effort, and knowledge, you can really find some absolute gems. So let's pull that video over right now. So here's me in the humidor at Davidoff of London. Max is one of their cigar sommeliers there. I think he's a grand man of Habanos. I mean, he's passed their highest level cigar sommelier test. And so Max, being a young gentleman, of course, is forced to be a little bit thrifty in his pursuit of fine Cuban cigars, and so he knows all the nooks and crannies of that humidor at Davidoff of London, which is the finest in the world, and really has developed a penchant for pulling out these incredibly unique, unusual, and unpopular cigars, because in so many ways everyone goes straight to the Cohibas, to the Reservas, but there's hidden gems in that humidor that if you take a little bit of time and maybe branch outside away from what's popular to what's unusual and unpopular, you really can find some absolute just hidden gems. That box right there is a Cuaba Petite Flora. I don't know, Nick, if you're watching right now, you'll have to tell me exactly what that cigar right there is called. They actually featured that in one of their videos. We had the opportunity of smoking that while I was in London, and I actually bought a box of those. It's sitting away safely in my humidor. Try good Cuban coffee. Haven't done that. I'd always wondered what a drape and cloth means. So, one of the characteristics of a fine suit, of course, is how it drapes, right? And drape is really just a reference to literally that, how the cloth drapes over you. So a good suit, a really well-made one that fits properly, is meant to really drape beautifully over the body. And that might sound easier than it is actually to achieve. You're taking cloth, one-dimensional cloth, and sculpting it three-dimensionally around the body. And so getting it to just drape over the body smoothly without any wrinkles in a way that moderates the silhouette and actually makes you look better is actually quite difficult. And so a fine bespoke tailor is able to achieve what is termed as beautiful drape. And there's a few ways to do that. A little bit of extra room in the chest, high-waisted trousers worn with braces. Again, help those trousers drape more nicely because they hang from the shoulders, not the waist. And so it allows the cloth to really fall very clean and neatly down the leg. And those are elements of great drape. Let's see, what else? We've got 200 of you watching. Thank you so much. Again, this is our 250,000 subscriber black tie Christmas live stream. To everyone watching, Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on this journey here on this YouTube channel as we have explored the world of quality craftsmanship and tradition. And so we're just taking a little bit of time here to really kind of, just celebrate those small wins this year. 250,000 subscribers, 40,000 followers on Instagram, rake of the year, and just enjoy, good company here. PV23, hello. Let's see, the finest suit I've ever had made was in Florence. Who made that? C. Black? Would be very interested to know. Theodore Vogel. Are London's gentlemen's clubs different than the Masonic lodges? Are they related to one another? I don't think they're really related to one another at all. I'm not very familiar with the Masonic lodges, but I can tell you that one of the big points of differences is that, of course, the gentlemen's clubs, most of them have overnight rooms for members, for out-of-town members, and probably are a little bit more social. I don't know. A CES annual meeting in Dallas. That's a good question. Again, one of the things we've spoken about is doing more meetups, and we just need to put a little bit of organization about that. One of the things I've always struggled with is that we've got such a global audience that would we be able to pull enough people together in any single random city to have a meaningful meetup? I don't know, but maybe we'll try that. PV23, thank you. Merry Christmas. The Petite Bouquet. I knew it was a bouquet something. So the Petite Bouquet by Cuaba. Again, Cuaba is one of those less popular brands of Cuban cigars of the Habanos portfolio. I've got some of the Cuabas Salomons, absolutely mammoth of a cigar that I think is like box dated 2007. I've got 3 of them left. Absolutely beautiful. It's like a 3-hour smoke. And whenever I was in New York this past weekend, I bought one of their original Grand Salomons. This is before the current Royal release. I think it's a 2008 cigar. So I bought 2 of those. Again, you can see that, I think, on the channel, actually on Instagram, and we have a photograph of those. So that's what I plan to be smoking on Christmas, is one of those great cigars. I mean, I'm going to be going to Houston to visit my father. He's got a nice house out in the country, and so one of my favorite things to do is just on a nice, beautiful night, sit outside, light up a nice long cigar, pour something to drink, and just enjoy the company of family, which, you know, in many ways is oftentimes among some of the best company. Hey, Nick, thank you for joining us. We know it's quite late there in London. Merry Christmas to you, to your beautiful family. Tell Max hello, and hopefully we will see each other soon in the new year. Okay, so it's 5:20. We're kind of well past the hour mark. Let's see. Any final questions? Let me know, and I would love to answer those. Otherwise, if you're joining this, we're celebrating 250,000 subscribers here on YouTube. It's our 250,000 subscriber black tie Christmas live stream. Merry Christmas, everyone. Of course, we're launching our Patreon here. Patreon.com/Kirby Allison, opportunity for everyone to support the content that we film on this channel. As I mentioned earlier, 100% of the proceeds of that really are going to go exclusively to support our ability to travel to some of these just absolutely exceptional cities, to visit really talented, independent craftspeople, and to just bring their stories to you on this YouTube channel. That truly is what I'm passionate about. And so really the Patreon page isn't so much supporting me, but it's supporting our ability to film content with these great craftspeople and bring that to you on this channel. So that, of course, is something I feel so passionate about. Yeah, Eric Jensen, of course, we had an opportunity to film with him. We had dinner in New York. We've just released some new content with Eric Jensen, so again, make sure you check that out today. We just published a video with Daniel Wiegand, of course, 2019 world champion of shoemaking. We welcomed him into our studio. He passed through Dallas on his most recent trunk show. This is our most recent video, so if you haven't watched that, please do. We just published it, and I think it's one of my favorite interviews of the year. I think that you know, Daniel and I have really come to know each other quite well and have a great rapport, and that, I think, really shows through in this video, and just how you know, how comfortable he was. And I think that he shared some absolutely beautiful anecdotes just about his craft that I really enjoyed listening to. We've got someone watching from Japan. 1 million live stream will be in Monaco, and boy, are you right. That is actually something that we've committed to for a long time. So hoping to, who knows, film that sooner than later. I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts? Do you think we'll hit 1 million in 2022, 2023? Who knows? But whenever we do it, boy, will that be a moment to celebrate. Hopefully it'll be celebrated in the company of many of you. Tom, good night. Merry Christmas. Of course, thank you for your friendship. One of the people that I really do look forward to seeing whenever I'm in London. Friendship that I cherish. And hopefully in the new year we're able to enjoy more cigars together. You know, we really need to bring Tom on one of these live streams. Tom, I think we should film a black tie live stream together. If you're around next week, maybe before New Year's, we might be able to knock it out. Otherwise, in the new year. But good night, Merry Christmas, and certainly send my love to the family. Bespoke John Lobs for everyone. There we go. Casamigos tequila. I actually started drinking tequila during the lockdown. That just goes to show you how difficult it was. The Rake, with Sovereign Grade collection to celebrate my award. There we go. I guess actually Tom has one of our club ties, if you will. This is probably my favorite tie of all time. Nick's got one also. I sent one to the Sahakians. This is of course, our basket weave tie. Absolutely beautiful jacquard, perfect for so many occasions. Very formal, very beautiful, and probably my favorite tie. And if we were to have a Kirby Allison club tie, that would be it. Let's just pull that up real quick. There we go, right there, Kirby Allison club tie. I believe that we're currently out of stock of those, but we've got many more being made. Just goes to show you how popular they were, or they are. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to say goodbye. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, if I don't see you all before then. Thank you all so much for joining us on this live stream. Again, it's all of you that make this fun. If we didn't have people watching these videos, we wouldn't be making them. And so you all are as much a part of this channel as I am. And I have to say, even though many of us have not had the opportunity to meet, I know for certain that we would be fast friends. And so hopefully sometime in the new year we have an opportunity to all meet in person, or as many as possible. Thank you so much for your support of this channel. Again, helping us get to 250,000 subscribers. Such a huge milestone. I'm truly humbled that we are at 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for all of your support. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and as all of you know, I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thank you for joining me on tonight's live stream.